Hello everyone, it's Seth, probably better known as Saffron Olive, and it's time for another instant deck tech. So it's Wednesday, which means Wildcard Wednesday, and this week we are heading to Modern to check out a pretty wild deck built around the Ally tribe. So this is Naya Allies, recently took Brittany Ward to a top 8 finish at a SCG Modern IQ, so congrats to Brittany on their finish with the deck. A quick reminder before we break it all down, if you enjoy this deck and you want to see it made into videos, take a minute, click the like button, the subscribe button, leave a comment, anything you can do to support your deck, because whichever deck is most popular gets a shot at being made into videos next week. So Naya Allies is essentially a tribal aggro deck that's looking to just overload on allies, because the way allies work is the more allies you play one way or another, all your other allies are getting a benefit. So the key cards in this deck that make the deck so powerful and aggressive are the early drop creatures that get bigger whenever an ally enters the battlefield. Hada Freeblade, the 1-drop, it starts off as essentially a 1-2 because it triggers itself, but then it's very easy for this to be a 2-3 on turn 2, maybe a 4-5 on turn 4 or 5. It just gets super huge for a 1-drop. Kazandu Blademaster is the same way. It's a 2-drop, starts the 2-2. It's first strike and vigilance, which makes it extremely hard to deal with. You can attack, very hard to block because of first strike, stays back on defense because of vigilance, so it also defends your life total. And then Oran Reef Survivalist is basically a backup Kazandu Blademaster. You lose the keywords, first strike and vigilance, but it works the same way. Starts off as a 2-2, grows every time an ally enters the battlefield. So you just want to play these cards on turn 1, on turn 2, and then play more allies and make them huge and allow these creatures to take over the game. We also get some Bushwhack effects. So essentially the ally tribe could have 8 Bushwhacker effects more or less. It actually only has 6 in this deck. Could play more reckless Bushwhackers. Although Bushwhacker's a little hard because you gotta surge it and you might not have the card in your hand in this deck, but Coom Battlesinger is super powerful. Whenever it or another ally enters the battlefield under your control, all your ally creatures get +1/+0 until end of turn, and it has haste itself, so it pumps itself up, so it's a 2-1 with haste when it enters for 2 mana, plus it pumps the rest of your team. Almost every creature in this deck is an ally, so it's pumping everything, and it allows you to do some really explosive things, where maybe on turn 4 you can Akoum Battlesinger, followed up with a couple of 1-drops, and your entire team is getting +3/+3, or you can do the combo of Akoum Battlesinger, and then surge your Reckless Bushwhacker, giving everything haste, pumping it all up, so you can deal a ton of damage really quickly by using Reckless Bushwhacker and Akoum Battlesinger. As far as finishing the game, the deck has some interesting options at the 3-drop slot. So Cabria Evangel gives all of your allies protection from a color whenever an ally enters the battlefield. So this is mostly an aggressive ability in the deck. You play Cabria Evangel, give your team protection from whatever color of blockers your opponent has, swing with everything your opponent can't block, you kill them. Lantern Scout helps you win the race by giving all your allies lifelink, so you're just gaining these huge chunks of life, because remember your 1-drops and 2-drops, they just get super huge in this deck, so you're going to be gaining big chunks of life, making it very hard for other aggressive decks, burn decks, to actually keep up with you. Expedition Envoy, not great. It is a 1-drop. The nice thing is, it's also a way in the late game to trigger all of your allies' abilities cheaply. So you can play it on turn 1 as a 2-1, where it's okay, or you can play it on turn 3 or 4 or 5 for 1 mana, and it pumps up all of your Kazandu Blademasters, it triggers your Cabria Evangel, all that stuff for just a single mana. And then the one non-ally creature in the deck is Selfless Spirit. This is just to help keep your creatures alive, only a 2 of, but it keeps you from losing to Anger of the Gods, to Supreme Verdict, even just saves an important creature from a targeted removal spell by making everything indestructible. And then Collected Company is a card that kinda makes any tribe in Modern work. So you curve out your 1-drop, your 2-drop, your 3-drop, for 4 mana, Collected Company, you're likely hitting 2 allies, which is pumping your Blademasters and Hada Freeblades twice, giving your team protection from 2 colors if you have a Cabria Evangel, maybe bushwhacking your team because Akoum Battlesinger, unlike other bushwhackers, doesn't have any special condition. You don't have to kick it or surge it. It just does it when it enters the battlefield, so you can hit an Akoum Battlesinger off Collected Company, pump up your entire team, and win that way. And then Path to Exile as a removal spell. As far as the mana base, Ally Encampment and Cavern of Souls give the deck 8 lands at tap for any color of mana to cast your allies. Ally Encampment also has some neat tricks where you can sack it to bounce an ally back to your hand, recast that ally to trigger all your allies' abilities another time. A bunch of fetches, some shock lands, some basic lands, and Razorverge Thicket. In the sideboard, we get some more allies. Gideon in slow matchups is great, and it makes ally tokens, so every time you zero Gideon, you're triggering all your allies' abilities. Another Lantern Scout to help against burn, other aggressive mirrors. Fire Mantle Mage helps your team get through blockers by giving all your creatures menace. Stony Silence and Rest in Peace for affinity and for dredge, and then a bunch of artifact haste. So the deck is very well prepared for affinity. Ancient Grudge and Wear Tear also help against decks with Ensnaring Bridge, for example, would be very bad for this deck. You really need to win with combat damage, so they help there as well. Return to the Ranks and Lead the Stampede give the deck some card advantage out of the sideboard. Return to the Ranks is awesome if you're in a Wrath type matchup where your opponent might kill all your creatures, and you can get them all back with Return to the Ranks. They pump and trigger when you enter the battlefield, so they're going to grow huge right away. Lead the Stampede, the deck has 30 creatures, so you're likely drawing 2.5, so either 2 or 3 cards from a single Lead the Stampede. Not bad for 3 mana. And then Pay No Heed is a interesting option to fight against game-winning spells. Your opponent goes to Conflagrate you or Lightning Bolt your face, and you can prevent the damage from that source. Mostly for combo decks, though, that are going to kill you with one big shot of damage, like Ad Nauseam does and so forth. So that is Naya Allies for Modern, and that's been our Instant Deck Tech for today. So thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I will talk to you soon.